part about it is if you ain't got that heart, you're not justified.
Say that again, brother.
If you don't have that heart, or if we don't have that heart, we're not justified.
You ain't got nothing coming.
Nothing coming but the hellfire.
That is what's sobering. So why is we here today? Just to hear a good lesson? Or is it to find out how to live in Christ? That's what we're supposed to be. Not just to live, but to live in Christ. Or Christ live in you.
That's right.
Every time the Lord looked down from heaven, you want him looking at nothing but a replica of Mashiach.
That's right.
Look at that little Jesus Jr. running around here. That's all we want to be. A whole bunch of, everybody want to be like their father. Every boy want to be like his daddy. Even girls look up to their daddy if he about something.
That's right.
Christ is our father. That's what Isaiah 9 called him everlasting father. We want to be like our father, then be like him. Because if not, then we're going to turn out to be bastard children. We have been told here once again, God himself said, Moses, if they really did just have that mind, if they just had that heart, what heart? The circumcised heart. Right. If they really had it, still, I don't see God saying, and tell them when they get that circumcised heart, they ain't got to keep the circumcision of the flesh no more. Still don't see it. Now, let's go to Jeremiah 4. Go to Jeremiah 4. And when we get to Jeremiah 4, we're going to start reading at verse 1. Jeremiah 4, verse 1. This is very important because some people believe that as long as you circumcised in the heart, you don't have to be circumcised in your flesh. And it's only to a degree that they make sense. But then after that degree, nothing they say makes sense anymore. Go ahead and start reading at verse 1. Jeremiah 4 and 1.
Jeremiah 4 and 1. If thou wilt return, O Israel, saith the Lord, return unto me, and if thou wilt put away thine abominations out of my sight, then shalt thou not remove.
So you won't be moved if you put away your abomination. Skip to verse 3 and read.
Verse 3. For thus saith the Lord to the men of Judah and Jerusalem, break up your fallow ground, and sow not among thorns. Circumcise yourselves to the Lord, and take away the foreskins of your heart, ye men of Judah and inhabitants of Jerusalem, lest my fury come forth like fire, and burn that none can quench it, because of the evil of your doings.
Now, here he told the whole people, circumcise your hearts. So all I'm saying is that when we go to Paul talking about the circumcision is that which is of the heart, and he get into all this and that, he not teaching nothing new. But those who not looking through the Spirit of Christ feel Paul was teaching against the law. He wasn't. But there's things in there where he talk about why circumcision of the flesh isn't important, and men just run with it. They not even trying to understand the context of what he's saying. Right. But always remember, Peter said, man, Paul can get real deep with expressing himself. Paul come from a legal background in the law. Paul was an expert in the law, so he trying to explain the righteousness of the law and show you how it intertwines with the righteousness of Christ. And for those who just don't really want to do right, they just will not see it. Now, here, Israel was told to circumcise their hearts. And still, it doesn't say that they don't have to keep the circumcision of the flesh anymore. That's like going to Isaiah 58, and because the Lord said that he didn't accept their fast, that as long as you help the poor and the oppressed, and you do right, that you shouldn't fast. No, you can't say that. That don't mean because you're doing them things not to keep the Day of Atonement.
That's right.
Messiah was better than, he had no sin and he fasted all the time. The apostles fasted. So just because you doing righteousness don't mean, well, the true fast is righteousness. So once I do the true fast, there's no necessity to fast physically in the body anymore. I don't care how righteous you think you is. You better keep his high Sabbath, at least, if that's the only fast you do.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brother Jay.
Abraham was righteous.
Right.
So if that doctrine prevails, why did he circumcise himself? We know he was righteous in the heart.
And you know what? That's a good question. Why did Abraham do that? He was already circumcised in his heart. Because all the circumcision of the heart is belief in God. Circumcision is another of the heart is another word for faith. It's an expression that says have faith.
Right.
What do you mean have faith? You got to actually circumcise your heart in order to have faith. It is impossible to have true faith if you don't circumcise your heart. See, Satan had a belief, but he don't have no faith because he won't circumcise his heart. He will not circumcise his heart. So if we don't circumcise our hearts, then we show the Father whose children we really are.
That's right.
And them the kind of kids he'd say, get out my house.
That's right.
You go to your house. You see kids just wilding out in your house, influencing your son to talk back to you or to do things. You're going to be like, yo, y'all get y'all little scoundrel selves up out my property right now. And you'll tell their parents, yo, I don't ever want your kids back over here. You'll tell your own child, I don't ever want that. I don't want you playing with that boy or that girl. That's what the Lord will do. We think that we know, but we really don't know. Go to Matthew 5. And when you get to Matthew 5, let's start reading that verse 1. I like the title that Brother Judah gave us some years back, the Constitution on the Mountain, that people like to call the Beatitudes. That's what it's called. We got another phrase that we like to put on it, because Christ didn't say, listen, this is the Beatitudes. So somebody called it Beatitudes.
Right.
We call it the Constitution on the Mountain. Why can't we? I like that. Go ahead and start reading that verse 1, bro.
Matthew 5 and 1.
Yeah.
And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain. And when he was set, his disciples came unto him. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God.
Now, here, do you know what all of this is? All of this is showing the circumcision of the heart. Mm-hmm. Everything he naming here are the characteristics of those who are circumcised in their heart. Their meekness, their every motive and action in life is going to be for the greater good of God's purpose being filled. The mourning. You remember in 1 Corinthians when Paul had warned the congregation about not putting away from them the guy who slept with his father's wife? He said, and y'all seem to be proud when y'all should have rather mourned. He ain't talking about a funeral here necessarily. He's talking about those who actually cry unto God for wickedness to be put out of the earth, for wickedness to cease, to give them the ability and the strength to not be afraid in the face of wickedness, to fear him enough to rebuke their neighbor and not suffer sin in the midst of the people. This is the person who mourns. The Lord told Jeremiah, I hear all those in Jerusalem who cry for the wickedness of it. And you let them know that I hear them and I'm going to protect them. See, this is the mourning. This is what the crying is about. Not just any old thing. These are those who are circumcised in their hearts, brothers and sisters. And when you pour in spirit, that just means you're not puffed up. You're not puffed up. You're not prideful in spirit, but you actually humble in it. These characteristics, merciful, pure in heart, peacemakers. This is the circumcision of the heart, and Abraham was all of that. Mm-hmm. Abraham sometimes would suffer wrong just so that peace could be done. Christ suffered it. Many suffered it. David, even in his reproof after sinning his life, he took things. Just say, perhaps God will have mercy on me if you see me take it. I ain't gonna do nothing to this guy. Let peace exist. See, we think that